We are still here. There's been a 1 month hiatus, but we are back. Welcome back to the Bleu Blanc podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the man, perhaps a son, a Hutson.
The Hut dog.
We all know the news. A couple days ago, Hutson has signed an 8-year, $8.85 million extension with the Habs. Couldn't be more happy to have a player of this caliber with our team until 2034.
My God.
He's 21 now. He's still on his ELC. He's got 1 year left. He's committed to the team for 9 years. What do you think, Adam?
9 whole years. And you know what? People are talking about how great of a contract it is just based on his money. But I think the best part from the Habs perspective is that resets the new internal cap. You know, for a long time it was like, okay, nobody can make more than Suzuki. Nobody can make more than Suzuki. Now, nobody can make more than Hutson. Other than, Dobson. But those are extenuating circumstances because, free agents and trades are a little bit different because you need to attract a player to your team.
Absolutely.
But in terms of just pure re-signing, I think not only is it a bargain deal already, if you look at, some of the contracts around the league. Who recently signed? We got Jackson Lacombe, Luke Hughes. Who else?
Mason McTavish. He's not a defenseman, but again, another young forward.
But, regardless, we got two guys in Luke Hughes and Jackson Lacombe who have both signed for 9.5. And I think if you gave either one of those teams the chance to trade for Lane Hutson for either one of those players, I think they laugh and then, the trade's done. Now, what I think that's also done is taken probably $1 million to $1.5 million off of whatever Demidov's going to make.
It's possible. That's a whole other conversation. He's we don't know what that price is going to be yet. And
we don't.
I think because of the market and where the cap is projected to be going, it's really hard to guess what it could be. Like, we got to give him a couple full seasons first before we start talking numbers because we don't know where the market's going to be in a couple years. When the cap's got another $20 million on it, who knows what that potential echelon player will be making. Like, what we've had recently is players like Kaprizov signs the largest contract in NHL history, right? Winger leads his team. There's a little bit of different circumstances there, right? But I look at somebody like Kyle Connor, who just signed an 8-year, $12 million per. We could be talking numbers like that when that day comes.
I mean, I see the link. I think, the Kaprizov, Kyle Connor is a good comparable for Demidov's ceiling anyways. Now that where I think there is a little bit of a difference is, especially for European players, I think that Montreal is a much more attractive market than either Winnipeg or Minnesota for that matter, right? I think you're kidding yourself if you think that Kaprizov is offered $17 million if he's playing for the Rangers. I think there was a premium there because of, hey, you're going to have to live in Minnesota. No offense to any Minnesotans listening, but especially for Russian superstars like that, that's not necessarily their first destination. So, there's a little bit of extenuating circumstances there, especially after, we talked about this before the show, but after seeing what McDavid took almost 2 days after Kaprizov, that starts to make it look a little bit tougher.
I think McDavid's just he's a special case. He gets to do whatever he wants.
No, I don't disagree with you.
I think it's a little different. I think any superstar around the league looks at that and was probably a little pissed off, right?
Yep.
Because you've got the biggest name in the game taking a discount when everybody's trying to make more money, right? Yeah, that is the special case. Is it's 2 years, because he knows he could have made 20.
100%.
And I think that's what the next one will be for him. No matter what happens in these 3 seasons, he's gonna say, "Well, I gotta. If this is it, then I'm, here to get paid."
So
no matter
do
what.
Do you think that was a clear message to the Edmonton front office, in the sense that, like, 2 years and I'm gone? Or is it more like, okay, you have 2 years at a bargain and then I'm signing my big boy contract?
I think it's conditional on winning. And that's the reality of sports. He's it. He's giving you a massive discount. He did it so that way they could sign Wallman, I think. Because I think Wallman certainly, he had a good year for the Sharks leading up to getting traded, which certainly helped his value, and his performance in the playoffs was very good. I think it was a bit surprising for most people around the league initially to see him sign for 7. But
yeah, I mean, if you look at his stats, though, and he's a solid, two-way defenseman who can, have some offensive output, I kind of compare him to, like, a better Alex Carrier. So, yeah, $7 million might be a little steep, but I think all these teams are now a little free with their money, because the last few years we've been so hard stuck in the no cap increase era due to COVID that we're not used anymore to the cap rising. But for as long as I can remember, that's always been the case, right?
yeah.
So I think a lot of these teams are kind of taking that into consideration, and But back to our initial point about Hutson, would you rather have Lane Hutson at 8.5 or Jake Wallman at 7? Right?
I think you know the answer.
Yeah.
I think you know.
So, I think in the same way that Connor McDavid kind of sent a message with that contract, keeping his cap hit, but only for 2 years, so that basically the Oilers have 3 years to win a cup, or, all signs point to him being gone.
Yeah, who knows?
But in the same way, I think that Hutson has sent a message to himself, the team, and the league that, the Habs are here to win. The Habs aren't just here to cash in like some other teams in the division, not naming any names. But the Habs are here, and the Habs are here to to win.
Mm-hmm.
And, all of their guys so far have been willing to take discounts in order to make that happen in the next few years.
Yeah. Ken Hughes kind of talked about it a little bit when the signing happened, because obviously media wanted to know how it got done, why it got done at that moment. And he discussed the fact that they've been building a culture for the last few years since they came in, bringing in guys like Martin St. Louis to lead the team behind the bench to start, and going from there, having guys like Nick Suzuki lead the team from a player standpoint, and setting an example of what it takes and what they're committed to doing. And I think what we found out with the reports, right, was Hutson came to management at this point and said, let's get it done. Because, again, like you mentioned, there's a culture, really starting to take hold here in this organization and what they want to accomplish in the long term, right? And signing a deal like this is, like, I think we're gonna look at this one and goalies in like 3-4 years and look at the players that management is able to surround them with in the depth it's hard to hold back the optimism and the hope.
Absolutely.
And the belief, right? Because we can see it all on paper of what the potential of what this team has.
Do you know what this reminds me of?
What?
Those Bruins years where they had Bergeron making 6, they had, Marchand making whatever, Chara making just, I think it was 7,
Yeah.
and look at what that brought to that team. Some say,
Yeah.
okay, it was only 1 cup, but my God, were the Bruins good for a solid decade.
Yeah. They went to 3 finals.
If the Habs can win a cup, go to 2 other finals, and be a dominant team for 12 years, yeah, I'll take it. I don't think anybody in Montreal is going to be like, oh, only 1 cup?
Yeah, yeah.
You
can't. Championships are worth so much nowadays. I think it's understated, because they're so hard to come by. There's 32 teams in the league, man. There's 32. There's a reason. There's so few actual winners nowadays.
But the organizations that win.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely. No, I know what you mean, because they're able to retain players, right? Like what the Panthers are doing. Their focus was on retaining championship caliber players, and that's what they did in the offseason.
And their players have all taken discounts, right? Except for maybe Matthew Tkachuk, right? All of their players have taken discounts in order to be able to re-sign all the additions that they've made over the years. That includes, Evan Rodriguez, Sam Bennett, Sam Reinhart. All of those guys could have gotten more on the open market.
Absolutely.
And I think, like you said, it's hard to suppress the optimism of the Habs kind of building in a similar vein. Now, am I saying that the Habs are bound to win back-to-back cups? Not necessarily, but they're definitely on the right track to becoming a dominant organization again.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Very exciting.
And, I guess now we can get into how the first 4 games have gone. And I don't think you'll hear complaining from anyone.
No, not at all. I think we've beaten the teams that we're supposed to beat.
Absolutely.
First game, you'd love to be able to spoil the Leafs home opener, right? However, the Leafs are the Leafs, and they are a certifiable playoff-bound team. And you're going up against Austin Matthews, John Tavares, such a strong team, I think, this year. Like, they're 1 through 6 on defense.
Yeah, top to bottom, right?
Top to bottom. They got 2 goaltenders who can win you hockey games. You got probably 12 forwards, just 1 through 12. Like, 4 lines of the year, they can roll, right? Add additions like Joshua, Steven Lorentz, I think they had last season, and bringing in a youthful player like Easton Cowan, I get it. Like, game 1s are just about figuring out where you're at to start the year. And you know what? They outshot the Leafs in that game.
Yeah, and you know what?
The
game finished 5-2, but those were 2 empty netters. That game was really a 3-2 game against, like you said, a bona fide playoff team. People like to rip on the Leafs, and me especially, but that's a good team.
Yeah,
there's no denying that. And the fact that the Habs, first game of the year, lots of new additions, lots of lost pieces, and Armia and some of the other penalty killers. And the Habs, took it to them. And then after that, it's been nothing but wins. And last night's game, as of recording on October 15th, that was an awesome win.
Yeah.
You got Demidov tying it late. Nobody gave up. And then the cock fucking buries one, dude. Did you see that goal?
That was unbelievable. I watched most of the game. I watched the second. I got to see the second and the third period, so I didn't miss a whole lot. Man, it was incredible. We had 3 separate leads, right, through the entire game. 1-0, 2-1, 3-1, and then you give up 2 in a row to go down 4-3. But I think if you watch the whole game, you kind of knew that the team knew they were going to win. They were supposed to win that game, which was so fun to watch.
Right? There was just a feeling about it. And I think in years past, maybe not last year because, last year we did win a lot of last-minute games. But in the past, it's always been like, oh boy, okay, we're down 1, the game's over.
Yeah.
Right? But now I think, and this is a good time to get into some of the additions, I think there's just a much better supporting cast to that first line. Right? Last year in the playoffs, it was like all the Capitals had to do was shut down that first line and then just let Newhook fucking skate around until he's tired.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's it, right? But now, and this is a guy I know you were pretty high on even when they traded, Zach Bolduc.
Yeah.
How great has this guy been?
Holy smokes. I was skeptical at first to see him get power play 1. To be honest, I thought the best move was just going to be putting all the young guys together like they had in the playoffs. But I do see the spreading of talent has helped a bit. Power play is not perfect. They usually aren't to start the year. I think that game against Chicago where we had 8 or 9 power plays and we got a couple on the power play. It was a weird game, to say the least, with just the amount of penalties Chicago was taking and the Habs weren't taking full advantage of that situation, I thought. But Zach Bolduc has been a bright spot. He's been so fun, just the way he skates in Detroit, cutting between 2 D-men, Gallagher chipping the puck past them both. He gets a wide open break. He scores. And then one on the power play the other night, just crashing in front of the net, right? I think that's
something
the simplest.
We desperately needed.
Oh my gosh, yes. He's been the way he skates is great.
Question.
His energy. Yeah.
Here's my question for you. Does Bolduc's arrival, at least temporarily, while he's hot, is this going to cost Slavkovsky's spot on PP1? Because in that right wing spot, I would much rather have Demidov there. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I know. And listen, Slav's been good, and I know he has a power play goal this year. But he's not exactly a play creator, I would say. And if he's not playing in that bumper spot when Bolduc's there, because Bolduc's shown that he can score from there. And he showed it last year too. If you look at his charts from last year, most of his goals came from that exact same spot.
Yeah.
So, what would you think of switching out Slavkovsky for Demidov or Line for that matter?
I'm not totally against it. Sometimes guys, when you're not playing hot, when you're not playing well, you get moved. And that's just how it is. You lose your spot. Guys are always playing for spots. I think the only thing that might save his skin is the chemistry between Demidov and Line. I think, or matter of fact, Line's dependence on Demidov on that second unit, because Demidov is so good at using space and creating lanes. I think we saw just with the preseason, he kind of depends on players to find him, right? I think we all know that. Line can't skate. That's just kind of how it is, right?
He's not a play creator, he's a play finisher.
Yeah, that's why he's on the 4th line at 5-on-5. He can't skate. That's why it didn't work in preseason. So I think that's the only thing saving Slav's skin here is Demidov and Line being such a strong pairing together and just kind of giving them the second unit. They're very obviously the 2 primary players on that unit with Dobson. Gallagher and Doc are both there to play net front, play the bumper position, and win battles along the boards when necessary. So, and that's kind of why Slav is on the first unit too. But yeah, he doesn't have the quick passing, the ability to shift laterally with the puck as well as Demidov can. So if the first power play starts flat or has a bad slump, I won't be surprised to see that change. I won't.
So we're in agreement, though, that he'll be the first to go.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? As soon as that power play struggles anymore, then I wouldn't say it's necessarily struggled. But, getting 10 power plays against one of the worst teams in the league, you would hope you'd get, at least 3 goals.
Yeah.
And
you'd hope.
Even on the power play, they weren't necessarily dominant by any means, right? But there have been several other bright spots for the Habs so far. Other than Line, I think everybody's been at least meeting expectations. And one guy on the defensive side of things is a guy I know you wanted to talk about, so I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, I am so happy to see Mike Matheson succeeding. I couldn't be more happy. I think a lot of people thought, including myself, that he might just get paired with Carrier for the season, or that they would just continue with that. And just, because it was a mindset of, well, Matheson needs somebody to sit back and, let him do his thing. But who would have thought putting 2 guys who are over 6 feet tall and can skate well and both move the puck would make a great pairing, and that it would be great at 5-on-5. Mike Matheson with Noah Dobson has been so fun to watch. Just the fact that they're both able to cover for each other and allowing each other to play they want to play.
Yeah,
I think it's been super productive watching them play with any forward unit and seeing the entire unit as a whole on the ice have success. I think this is something that has been so obvious, at least to me, watching the game this year compared to seasons past, seeing maybe one D pair be successful any given night, or just being able to contribute at the back end and the front and moving the puck up the ice. Having Matheson and Dobson play together has enabled almost each forward line to function offensively, because the other pairing is Gooley and Hutson, who are both young players who know how to move the puck. I think it's a breath of fresh air. And Matheson's been playing smart, simple hockey. That's all he needs to do. I think just the flow of the entire team is better this year. You can see that they're sticking to systems. You can see that there is one implemented. Because we've had such a youthful hockey team the last 2-3 years especially, you can see the mistakes a young team makes, an inexperienced team makes. And we're seeing a lot less of that this year. And I think a lot of it starts from the back end.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, honestly. I think it's been awesome to watch. That pairing, Matheson and Dobson, has just been just an automatic breakout.
Yeah.
It's it's been great to watch, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen moving forward.
Yeah, me too, man. Like, Dobson's he's been, I think, as advertised for the most part. You've got a 6'4" right-handed defenseman who you got from the Islanders, and Islanders fans immediately, some of them saying, well, whether they won the trade or not, it's hard to look at that now, right? You've got young player in Emil Heineman and 2 players they just drafted. But Noah Dobson's been able to move the puck up the ice very effectively, and he's good defensively. Is he perfect? No. Like, nobody, it's really hard to find a perfect defenseman. Like, was there a missed cue on the power play last night against Seattle? Sure. That happens. But it's been really nice to see him win battles along the boards and having Matheson support him and vice versa. Just watching them work together in the defensive end the last few games has been a breath of fresh air. So that's all I really wanted to mention there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like you said, that allows us to balance out the rest of the defensive unit. Having those two guys allows us to play Hutson and Gooley together.
Yeah.
And then, of course, having our, more or less shutdown line in Carey and Jackeye. Yeah, I think, we're good to leave the episode here. But I think the takeaway from the first week is extremely positive.
Yeah.
Like you said, we beat the teams that we needed to beat. And if the Habs can continue to build on this, I think it's going to be a great season.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm excited.